You gotta press the button in the back. Press and hold.
It's on for me.
Oh, there you go.
Welcome to tonight's Planning Board workshop meeting. Please be aware of the fire exits to the left. Please take the stairs and not the elevator. If you do come and speak to us during the workshop tonight, please state your name and address. And it's no public hearings tonight because it's a workshop, so please call the first case.
First case is case number PB 2024.11-01. Request by Marathon Engineering acting as agent for 2080 East Ridge Road for preliminary and final site plan approval to demolish an existing structure and to construct a new plus or minus 1,300 square foot Starbucks cafe with drive-through service and site-related improvements on premises 2080 East Ridge Road in the C Business District.
Is the applicant here tonight?
Yes, if you want to come over, sit at the table with us.
Sure.
Matt and
Jake.
Jake.
It's like everyone's got plans, but always better safe than sorry, so.
State.
Good evening, my name's Jake Calabrese, I'm with,
So you have to press and hold the back of the microphone.
oh, wow, I'm talking.
On the top,
No,
which is
oh,
green.
just turn it on.
Look at the top. Right here.
Sounds like something.
Yeah, just push it again. There you go.
Perfect.
Just make sure you're talking into it.
Yep, absolutely.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
ask one favor? If you refer to any of the plans, could you just give us the page number?
Yeah, absolutely, yep. Good evening, my name's Jake Calabrese, I'm with Marathon Engineering, and I'm joined with Matt, the developers representative.
Yeah, Matt Bucci, on behalf of 2080 East Ridge LLC, 550 Latona Road, Rochester.
I'll just run through a quick history and explanation of the project. So it is at 2080 East Ridge Road at the intersection of East Ridge and Culver. It was formerly an Abbott's Ice Cream that has now been shut down. We are proposing a Starbucks, and it is going to be a drive-through with no indoor seating. We went to the zoning board in February, and in that zoning board, we were approved for variances for parking as well as front and back setbacks. The existing utilities, we're just going to kind of utilize what is on site. So we got on page, let me flip open mine, utility plan, which is C2.
C2.
Yep. So C2, we are going to utilize the sanitary, which is at the northeast of the project, and as well as actually the drainage, the main runs down Culver, so we're going to drain everything to that same site. Let's see, lost my notes there. Like I said earlier, there is no indoor seating, so we have a drive-through with 14-car queue length. Signage, I know that was a quick comment from Labella. That's going to be a later submission, so we'll come back to the board for that. And there was a traffic study performed by Passero to find the best entrance exit for this property, that was settled on East Ridge Road due to safety and queuing lengths from both East Ridge and Culver. I also have some updated renderings that I will quickly run around to everyone. Is there anything else as I kind of pass these around? Or I just want to pass. So those are the latest and greatest renderings or the elevations for the proposed Starbucks.
Is there a walk-up window?
Yes, there is.
Sorry, what was the answer?
Yes.
With a walk-up window.
So it's not just,
So this is, the design of this drive-through only is to relieve a lot of the traffic from the other location down the road. That's why it's in such close proximity. So it's really drive-through only, but they have to have the window just in case somebody needs to, come up, maybe their drink's messed up, or you got the neighbor, who wants a coffee. He's not gonna get in his car, drive around through the drive-through. So it's really like low usage walk-up window.
Is there going to be the option when people order online to do a pickup window or?
We've been told no. If it's you pick up, it's just drive-through only.
so how are people gonna know that? I mean, they're gonna drive in, they're gonna see a parking lot, so how do they know it's at Starbucks?
Well,
I'm gonna drive in, I'm just gonna go order a cup of coffee. I'm just trying to I love the concept, don't get me wrong,
I'm
but-
sure you're gonna have a couple stragglers like that, but the majority, 99%, you're gonna, there is the same concept on Ridge Road in Greece with the Dunkin' Donuts, and you only see people in the drive-through there. So, I'm confident it works, but we've never had one of these as well.
So, you're confident it works, but we've never had one.
We've never had a Starbucks. I've seen the Dunkin' Donuts concept of
Yeah,
the
I
same.
have too, I hate it.
Yeah, I'm only familiar
One on
with the one
Portland.
that's kind of tight there on the corner of Stone or something, so where's this one that we're talking about?
The one I'm referring to is Elm Grove and Ridge. Yes. Yeah.
So have you talked to them? Do you know how they handled this? I'm just curious. I'm very
It's-
much in support of doing something in that corner. I don't want you to get that.
Yeah. No, it's the same concept. There's still a walk-up window, but nobody really uses it. It's my experience, which is only just talking from construction experience. We've shut down locations and remodeled them. Once you close down the drive-through, people will drive miles down the road to find the next drive-through because they don't want to get out of their cars. That's just kind of my
I tell you,
experience.
the one on Ridge Road, though, I've been in there in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of hospital workers going in, grabbing it off the counter, and
Yeah.
going back into their car.
And
It's the same way on Blossom Road
Mhm.
in the city. They're lining them up on the,
So I'll use the one that was across the street. It wasn't a drive-up, and it was always full. It used to be in Culver Ridge. I don't know if you guys ever went there.
Right, so if it's an option to do the indoor pickup, I myself will also do that because then you don't have to wait in the line. But if they don't give you that option, you're not running inside. Because when you use the app, if you're familiar with the app,
there'll be no app on this
no,
store.
the app will be there. It won't give you the selection of in-store pickup.
To come in.
Oh.
Just drive through.
So why would why wouldn't I just wait and order off the order board? But
Everybody uses
I don't want to
the
get stuck on.
Right, you might, yeah.
Yeah.
You get the points for the free coffee, so. A lot of people use it. So
Brad, is your mic on over there? Thank you.
This is on, right? All I'm struggling with is, somebody going down the street sees a Starbucks. They're not gonna use their app because they're driving. They're gonna pull in and see a parking lot. I think they're gonna go and order a cup of coffee. And you're not gonna tell me that they're gonna refuse to sell it.
No.
No.
No, and that's your 1%. There is a chance, and that's what the window is there for.
If there's a line
Yeah.
in the drive-through, why wait in the drive-through, just park in the parking lot and go to the window?
That, they won't give you that option with the app to do that.
No,
And they
just
won't.
go to the window and order.
Well, you'll be standing outside waiting. There's no vestibule, it's really just an outdoor window they would open. So you'd be forced to stand outside.
I do have a question, though. How does this application fit in with the active transportation plan of the town?
One of the things we're trying to do is encourage people to use modes of transportation beside personal vehicles to procure services. So the plan is mildly hostile to a pedestrian or someone who's arriving on bike or public transportation. It's not overtly hostile, but it's certainly not very welcoming.
And I believe as a drive-through only, they're not really,
Yeah, but I just still
Capturing the
want an
pedestrian
answer
traffic.
on how this fits in with the active transportation plan.
Yeah, we'll have to,
It's a theoretical question.
no, I understand. We'll have to
I'm
look,
gonna ask for that for next week, because I'm
Yeah.
assuming you haven't had a chance to take a look at it.
Correct,
So
yeah.
maybe come back.
yeah,
come back
absolutely.
next
And
week.
that's what I was gonna say, is we'll absolutely review that and get you some sort of answer and some maybe way that we can,
I mean, I
try
don't
to
think that you'd have
incorporate it.
to change the concept, but providing dedicated pedestrian, oh, you have it, pedestrian access right from the street.
Yes,
And
yeah, yeah,
then also, maybe some outdoor seating could, I think, at least if you did arrive by foot or bike and a bike rack, you would have a place to order from the window and wouldn't have to be standing on the sidewalk to consume. This location is a little bit closer to residential than the location that we currently have over, where is that? Goodman,
Goodman and
right?
Eastridge.
Like just behind this property are residences that, could walk. There's a
And also,
school
the
not
kids
too
are gonna
far.
walk from the school. That's the reality, right? I mean, I see them walk by the Wegmans, I see them as they're heading home into their neighborhood. I'm not saying that's what you're striving for to build your customer base on, but it really would be nice to have, and I know you guys aren't designing it, you're doing it for an application, you're not gonna be running the thing.
no, but we work directly with Starbucks on the design and, fitting it to the site and accommodating them. And I do know that seating was removed from the concept for this, for the drive-through only, because,
Yeah,
it
even-
encourages
so
people
Even
to
the
park and
boosters
sit
that we
outside.
approved has outdoor seating.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, we didn't require them, I don't think it's a great model, but I am also not investing my money in all this. I do have a couple other questions.
Can I get one out? So, when we had something similar come before the board, it's a competitor, okay, and it was a tight space. That, you said you talked with Starbucks. Do we have anything from them talking about, how they view the success of this? Because they spoke to the success of what, they wouldn't invest unless they thought it was successful.
Well, that's exactly Starbucks' concept, and this is not to bring in new business, it's to relieve business from.
Right, but do you have a document from them that states that, or
We could-
anybody from the
We could
meeting?
get something if we need
I
to.
think it would be helpful.
So what are you looking for the document to say?
Well, either them or come to the meeting and speak to it as a representative of Starbucks, that they've seen similar concepts that could be very successful. Because we're asking questions about, how does this work? Well, they've done it, right?
Yeah, this is not the only drive-through
So
concept
I just
for
would
them,
like to
it's
see
only
the
one for
the
us.
corporate, the corporate's perspective of, why this is successful.
Okay.
And again, I'm not at pushing you to add indoor seating or whatever to this, but, and when I have visited the property on Portland, right, Portland, I got this right, Portland and Ridge, is that where it is, or is it Goodman? Goodman.
Goodman.
Where the old
Sometimes there's no seats available in there. So I understand that you have overflow on the drive-through, but I also believe it seems to me that there may be overflow in the seating arrangements there, because I've been multiple occasions that I've gone in there and have not been able to find a seat.
Yeah, I mean, any location can be busy. You're gonna run into that scenario where there's not the seating you're looking for. But that's a completely different concept.
Sure.
That's a sit-down cafe and drive-through. We're currently doing another project somewhere else that doesn't have a drive-through and it's cafe only, which is different for Starbucks, but they wanted to be there. Then this is on the other side of the scale where it's drive-through only, just to get people through. So traffic that's basically passing and going down to Portland or Goodman, this is basically going to pick those people up. That's all this is designed to do, and just relieve a lot of the congestion, because it gets busy at the corner there.
So what concerns me a little bit is, you said you don't have a signage to present next week, right?
signage, no.
Right. I think, I'd like to understand how the signage is going to help and ensure that everybody knows this is a drive-through. And I think not approving both of those together, I'm very cautious, because I feel like I might be causing a problem without knowing how you're gonna do that, how it's gonna look, how other sites have done it. I just feel in this particular case, normally you can excuse signage, but in this case, I think we'd be making a big mistake not to understand that before we approve it. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, I'm just one person, but
I mean, I'm envisioning, Starbucks drive-through only, in almost, I don't want to say big letters, but, making that known to somebody that's from out of town that doesn't know this location, that they're not going to want to just pull in here and sit,
even if it's only 1% or 5%, whatever it is, I think not doing them together, it's not very comfortable.
I mean, I get it. The local people, they'll go up to the window the first time and realize, and then they know for life, So you'll get a little bit of a peek in that in the beginning, and everybody from around town is going to understand, okay, this is a drive-through only. Next time I go here, I'm just going through the drive-through. But like Brad was saying too, yeah, we've got the pedestrian access, which kind of brings people there. You've got a bus stop right there on Culver, and I see people sitting there all the time. What's going to stop them from walking over and grabbing a coffee?
And
I just think
there's nothing to eliminate that either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I guess on that concept, they won't have a car in the parking lot.
Right.
So that's the only difference.
Which is a good thing, right?
I mean,
That
same
can
thing with
help.
the students walking up.
Right.
I mean, I know the existing location is full of Bishop Kearney students. My daughter goes there. She goes there once a day with friends, and that's why you can't find a table, Brad, because they're all there.
Well, and I see them walking.
And this would, if it was the same thing, this would be filled with Eastridge kids. You do one on the west side,
Right.
it's going to be filled with West Irondequoit kids.
And I mean, if that was a compromise to add exterior seating to help do this, I mean, that's something we can look at. I know the site is very tight, so that's part of the reason why there's no outdoor seating. But, yes, thinking about the foot traffic, that does seem like a viable compromise.
So how many parking spots do you have for employees versus what you think is gonna be the 1%?
Typically, there's about six workers on staff at peak times.
So there's only gonna be a few, maybe 3 or 4
4
spots?
Right.
Okay.
And one will be a handicap, assuming that.
How many spots are there?
Can I ask a couple other questions off this, just to move us along, Bernie?
Yeah.
The plans that I'm taking a look at, were those the plans that were presented to the ZBA for their approval?
Yes, just in much less detail. The ZBA plans were, the site layout was the same.
Exactly the
Yep.
same?
It did, just minus, I guess, all the utility and whatnot.
And I apologize, what was the ZBA approval for?
That was for,
Yep, I'm just-
yep, and parking.
On parking?
I have a question. Oh, go
Then,
ahead.
on the side and corner setbacks, can you explain what those are to me, and if those were approved by the ZBA?
Yes, so the non-variance, are you talking? 'Cause
There-
for the ones
If
that
I
were-
look in one of the descriptions, there's a setback on the side, which is 5 feet. Where the hell did I read it? The corner and the side setbacks are what I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah, so the front setbacks are this line, right here, and that is a 28-foot setback. So it was, I believe, I got it over here, sorry. So the code would be 60, but we went to 28, but with that being said, we're still further back from the existing building that's next door, so we're not encroaching towards the corner more than is already there. And the side setback is, the 11-foot here, and that's the awning for the drive-through to the property line. And why we had to do that was because to get our queue length in, we had to shift this building more to the west, because the Abbott's building, the existing building, is more centralized. So the parking, I would assume, was kind of around it. Where now we're trying to maximize our queue length so that we can hold as many drive-through cars as possible, as well as have a good parking spot, or parking lot access to our
Okay,
dumpster.
all right. When I find where I read it, I'm sure I'll be back to it. The signage package is coming. The photometrics is a little weird to read off of the map that you've given us.
So
On-
we're gonna hand out just now, or?
That's the one that we're just talking about, where we got a couple of the lights.
Yep.
A couple of the light
Yes.
poles, they missed on.
They're not called out. There's also
What
spillage.
page are you looking at? I'm sorry.
It
On
should be
4.
landscape, yeah.
C4.
So like here, we don't have the, you don't show those hook handles, and it's not fully called out. Then on the building, one of the comments too was about exterior lighting, and we haven't 100%.
There isn't any as far as I'm concerned.
Right, so what it is it's integrated in the canopies. We just haven't determined the extent at this point, so that's why you don't see anything there yet.
I'm going to ask for everybody's benefit on this. When you're doing the lighting, if you're going to do those lights that are on the roof lining it, which have been showing up places without approval, I would like those to be shown on here, or else I'm going to say that we just aren't doing any more lighting on it.
Okay. I could probably give a little further detail, but the lighting on the Starbucks is actually recessed in the canopy. So you have the wood finish and it actually butts to it, so you don't actually see from the side anything. It just kind of presents a ambiance.
Yep. And is there any place depicting that?
No, so that, like
So
I
you
said,
still
is
owe us
still
that.
to be
Okay.
determined. We could probably submit that with the sign package.
And then staying on C4, I see a couple plants that are listed on the inventory, but I don't see them on the plan. The Wilgelia and the arborvitaes.
Yeah, Bella commented on those as well, and I will sit down with our landscape architect in the next few days and square those away.
I just see that they're
Yep.
listed, but I don't see anything. Is there anything other than that as discrepancies? Those are the two I caught.
Not per what, I received Philadelphia's comments today and got a good chance to review also, and I think those were two of the discrepancies in the landscaping plan, as well as a quantity was slightly off, but other than that, nothing jumped out at me as big.
So you'll do the correction on that?
Yep, and then kind of going off that, we have submitted to Water Authority as well as Monroe County DOT, and they've responded with some comments that we're gonna include. Nothing more than just coordinate with Monroe County before you raise our manhole, kind of nothing to be concerned.
Okay. The mural that's depicted on here, is there any way we can make it a little more Rondequoit focused as opposed to tropical or whatever the heck the drawing is?
I mean, we can talk to Starbucks about that.
Doesn't that make more sense?
Well,
They
the
have an
mural
investment
is-
in the town. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they want to make it inviting for the town? Wait, they only can drive through, so maybe they don't want it inviting, I don't know.
I mean,
I
the
just,
mural is a new concept to us, like, we actually don't even want to be responsible for it because we've never done something of that. So we kind of put it on Starbucks to do, but I do know it was kind of a, hey, this is what they're thinking. But I mean, that's a comment,
So,
right?
yeah, can you take us through the renderings and what's the difference between these and the ones you submitted?
Yeah, so what happened
Give me
is, it was kind of my fault. So we submitted, Starbucks actually did these. So we basically sent our plans, which were the ones in the back, to them. The compromise came back as this. So that is now our architect's updated renderings and elevations of these.
So we
So-
ignore that and look at this?
That is going to be what the building plan comes across as. This is more of a rendering at this point.
So the menu board?
Yes. Yep.
Is the softening of the mural on this just due to printing, or is it as vibrant as, do you see what I'm kind of,
I can ask the architect, but he was set the PNG file was set to him and he did put it on there, but it could be just in the translation.
Sure, yeah.
I believe they probably want it more pronounced.
yeah.
That's gonna be my next question, was, do we
And I
look
can
at that
send
or this?
that to you electronically, so you can have that for next one.
So,
Would you rather see it muted or?
I'm just kind of asking, I guess, just kind of curious. I'm not sure I have a stance. Yellen?
No, I just think you're gonna be in Arundecoit, New York, why wouldn't Starbucks wanna make it reflective of the community as opposed to, this really looks tropical to me. And there's hardly anything tropical about Arundecoit.
Are they coffee bean plants? Is that what
Well, I
those
mean,
are?
I don't know. I think it's more of a background of what Starbucks is, not really the community, but,
So another question on these renderings is, you don't have any signage here, so that's consistent. But this one you showed signage, so is that signage not gonna go up at this point?
so I'll tell you the hardship I had. So the hardship I had is I requested from Starbucks the sign package. They said until they get the approvals and move forward, they can't really give me a full sign package for submittal. So I think it's just because they're overloaded on work where they're not willing to jump ahead, on the time frame. So this kind of gives you an idea of what the signage will be. And
So that's
this is
the
what we're
recessed,
familiar
the
with.
recessed look of Starbucks you're talking about with the lighting in here?
No, so yeah, so you wouldn't see the lighting at all. It's actually underneath, it's flush with the wood.
So will you have the final signage package, ready for
Monday?
us?
No.
Then you would either have to come back for the signage as a
Yeah,
separate package.
they've already said they
Okay.
wanna do it
Okay.
as a separate application.
And we can, between now and then, we can talk with Starbucks and try to see what they've done in the past for the drive-through only and say, hey, can we put that underneath the sign? That maybe it's the monument sign or whatnot.
Yeah,
whatever
I'm
they
very
want.
uncomfortable approving this without the signage, without knowing the drive-through. And it's not to hold you up, but it's just, I feel we have a responsibility that if this does cause any kind of problems, we didn't do our due diligence to ensure we understood how everybody's gonna get that message.
And what that,
I just want you to take that into consideration, because I personally am very,
right, and specifically what that link, like, because it's technically not drive-through only, but maybe it's like express, I don't know, but what is that language?
I mean, it's a Starbucks drive-through, but yes, with
But
a
there
walk-up window
is- right.
for pedestrian traffic.
So what is,
How do you
how do you
put that
say
sign
that?
on the
Yeah,
building? Yeah.
that's up to you guys.
but I think if you had the signage, it would make me feel a lot easier that I get the concept, right?
Yeah.
Because as,
I mean,
said-
I would say this is a good rule of thumb because this was put together by Starbucks.
for
So,
rendering.
yes. So they're the ones who come up with the signage package. So I would say this is kind of,
So where would
what
that
you could expect.
drive-through sign be that we were looking for? That's gonna be on the corner of the building farthest away from the street? if I'm
this
looking
looks
at-
like it's right behind the bus stop and right by the face of the jeweler. So on the face of the drive-through. But yes.
It's only gonna be right in, right out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
only
so
The
right.
coming
county.
the other way, you wouldn't see a sign that said drive-through?
No, so like this is the front facing East Ridge. So drive-through is kind of facing the side. It would make more sense to be on the front.
Now, do you understand why we're saying? that-
Yeah, no, I 100%, and I know that the signage is never set in stone until it's
I
approved.
realize they said
So,
37% of
you
the
know,
time.
They're probably over their allotment too with these renderings.
Instead of going up Culver Road, you're
Now,
going
is
to
there a way
We
It's
could
like
be over
those-
here. No, no
that
left
we
here,
could,
right here.
just ask, is there a
Right
way
in, right
that we
out.
could
Right in, right out only.
Hold on one second, hold
Oh, you
on,
got
hold
egress.
on, guys, so we could, he wants it.
Is there a way that we could get site plan approval with like a contingency of a passing site plan, so then Starbucks is happy, we can get them moving on the signage plan, but we wouldn't be able to break ground per se. We would have our site layout approved, but not necessarily our signage.
Good.
Because I guess the signage wouldn't necessarily affect the building itself. More just trying to find a middle ground.
You're trying to ask for a conditional based on us seeing final signage
Yeah,
before you get approval.
Because we couldn't necessarily push and, because you would say that it's not approved until you have the signage, but we can at least say that this site plan is approved to Starbucks.
I gotta just say, from my point of view, if it starts getting into 3 or 4 or 5 conditions on the approval, that's when we'll pull it back. If that's the only thing, I don't have any problem with just the sign as a condition.
Yeah.
That you gotta bring it back, but I'm only speaking
Well,
for
no,
myself.
bringing it back is different than us seeing it and approving it before they start building. It's two different things, right?
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, there are no signs on this building at
But
all.
I think that the point that Bernie,
I'm trying to say, I'm not comfortable
Right.
making a ruling.
Okay, yeah,
not
and I
seeing
said I
any
was,
signs.
so it doesn't matter, I mean,
Yeah, but I think you should pull the board. That's how I feel. And if you want to take something strong back, you can understand where everybody sits.
Can we give a preliminary approval, right?
That's what
Because
they're asking for.
they're asking for preliminary and final.
Yeah, I wouldn't, well, in that case, I wouldn't give final.
No.
You're looking for final?
I mean, I think if we wanted, we could give a preliminary approval on Monday. They could take that back to Starbucks, say, hey, we at least got our preliminary approval. This is the checklist of things that they want before we get a final approval. You know, that way we're not given a final approval until we see the sign package.
Yeah, so let me go back. Were you asking for preliminary or preliminary and final?
well, I guess.
Understanding what we're talking about
No,
today.
I was asking more for a final, but it's kind of the same concept would be the preliminary that we can go to Starbucks and say, we have a preliminary approval to all of this. And again, I have not spoken with Starbucks. I don't know exactly how this will go, but we have a preliminary. Here is their main comment. We need a signage plan so that they now go, all right, well, they had 0 comments or small comments elsewhere along the site that will get changed for the final, but the main thing that we need to get this approved is the full-on signage plan. I think that would help, and I know that's not what you guys are in the business or for helping us, but that would help us get to Starbucks and say, all right, we're almost there, let's, if we.
I think our job is to help you because we want development. So,
Right, no, absolutely, but I'm,
Corner developed.
So the normal process would be, it comes before the board for a preliminary/final site plan approval. It's the board's discretionary to whether or not they want to grant the preliminary, subject to these conditions. Then the applicant and the agent will address those conditions with the proposed developer and then come back for final.
we can do that.
Yes,
Okay.
we've done that many times in the past.
But I'm only one person. I know Alan said he's okay approving it without signs.
if that's the only condition, I'm fine with it. I don't want a list of conditions on this that we might as well just start because,
Let's go around. I just like to get the rest of the board's
I'm
opinion.
concerned, and maybe I'm just off base, maybe putting a condition in there that there's no ever putting the app where people can order online and go to that window. Because I don't want at this point that you're saying that, and then that gets turned on, and now we start ordering drive-through and ordering to go to the window, and then we start having a problem. And I'm nervous that you're saying that now, and then it might change.
But
I
the,
can make that a condition.
the plan is for the Starbucks drive-through only.
yeah.
So that's what the preliminary / when it comes to the point of final site plan, it'll be for the approval of a drive-through Starbucks.
Only.
That's what the wording will be on the decision if it gets approved.
but
It won't, you can't amend, you'd have to come back for revised site plan approval in order to make it a walk-up window.
well, they have a
Well, it
walk-up
is a-
window.
They're
yeah,
saying
there's a
it's
walk-up
walk-up
plan now.
But it's for
Right.
errors. It's not really a
I don't think-
pedestrian, it's not a,
It's not what they testified
mean,
to.
That's not what they want.
I haven't.
I get it.
So, I do use the app a lot. I've never seen where it gives you an option for a walk-up window if there is, but I don't have that.
Well, you
I don't
just
have an
say that
idea
I'm gonna
where
pick
that
it up
is.
inside.
But I do know, like Target, you can't order ahead. Like the app, like you click on Target, Starbucks there, it says not available to order ahead. You know, so they do have control with the app, but we don't have control over their app. If that makes
I
sense.
don't have the Starbucks app.
Can I ask just a staff question?
Sure.
They don't need a special permit for the drive-through window, do they?
I don't believe so, but let me just
I'm only asking because
pull the code.
we have.
This is C
approved-
Business.
special use permits on the drive-through window.
In the month.
Yeah, was that
The
an
mock.
NEC?
I believe that's in the.
Was it the muck only?
Muck.
And that could be in,
I forgot to ask you, what are the hours of operation? I didn't.
I would have to get back to you, but I mean, typically the Starbucks are like
6 to
5
10.
a.m. to 9 p.m.
I have a question about so the siding on this, is that real wood or is it some kind of composite material? It says veneer.
It's an engineered wood.
Okay, because they did put that on the existing Starbucks and it's sort of degraded over time. I think that that's a real wood product and this might be composite.
This is, I believe it comes with a 25 or 30-year
Okay.
warranty.
And then the ped walkway across here, it looks like it's painted on. And this is gonna have a lot of use with the drive-through, primarily drive-through. So there's gonna be a lot of vehicle traffic over there, which generally causes the paint to degrade quicker. So sometimes we've asked applicants to look at stamped and dyed asphalt or a concrete pad as the access point.
What about more of a DOT standard where it's like the, what's that called? Where it's like
Yeah,
that,
it-
it's almost like a plastic.
Yeah, it's plasticized, I don't know it off
Right,
the top
where
of
it's
my head,
actually
but
built
there's
up
a
and-
DOT, like it's a raised,
it's a,
it's got
yeah.
thickness
I've
to
seen
it.
that. I actually saw that. It like pulled off of the pavement in front of the school on. I mean, I'm open to. I haven't really seen it here before. I'm interested. The only experience that I have had with it is it like was rolled up, like it had like peeled right off the road on Seneca. I
Sounds
think.
like an application issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do it, if you apply it too cold, the ground's too cold, it
Okay.
just won't adhere to it.
Okay.
That happens, and the top of it looks great, but it, like you said, it rolls up.
Yeah.
I've seen that on previous jobs.
I think your point is, it needs to be something besides
Whatever,
paint.
something that we can trust, and that won't become a maintenance thing to continue the painting.
Well, I mean, we have maintenance there regardless because it is pavement, so ceiling striping and.
I could
obviously-
drive you down Ridge Road and point to half a dozen of these crosswalks that everybody said that they were gonna keep up and they didn't, so that's why we looked at those things.
Okay. And I believe you as the town do have the ability to mandate that we stripe, right?
We're not in charge of enforcement,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But the town
The
in a
town
whole
is,
does.
yes.
So where's the waste on here? Is it,
The dumpster?
Yeah.
Right there.
and I didn't even look, what's this made out of and everything? So,
Split block. It's
block.
block on there. Can I ask a couple questions about your traffic study? You said, or if you,
Yeah.
if you're not comfortable, you can just say, I didn't do the traffic study, Pass Road did, ask them. The 37% of the left-hand turns during peak time, is that all that they expect, and what was the peak time on this?
So, I'm not gonna 100% answer that, because like you said, I did not do,
That's
but,
what I said.
I believe.
Pass Road, throw them under.
Yeah, the peak time, I believe, is between 7 and 9 a.m. Normal work hours, school hours, it kind of gets a good blend of both.
'Cause it looks like the traffic survey was done on one day.
Yes, yeah, usually they're done on one day. Usually, they try to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. from my
Friday.
understanding. Mondays and Fridays can be a little bit more scarce just because of vacations or whatever, so they try to.
And
think-
Saturday's gonna be busy with folks going to Wegmans, right?
Right, yeah, but
I mean,
I would say that especially for this being a morning restaurant, I believe it would be at its busiest between Tuesday and Thursday. And I can confirm when those dates were exactly.
and the county's suggesting the date's in there, I know it is. The county suggested a write-in and write-out on this.
So, that was previous correspondence. So, what we are going to, and I believe you could also speak on this as well, is we're entering wrote it down, a traffic mitigation agreement with the DOT, pretty much to say, we are approving this, and if in 6 months or a year, there's a spike in accidents or collisions or near misses in this area, that we will then go to that right in, right out.
Okay, so what triggers that?
It's right here.
No, I saw it. What triggers that? Is it 10 accidents? Is it one somebody gets killed? What is it?
I believe that would be a Monroe County DOT, they would kind of monitor that situation and say,
Can we find out what that is?
They
Just- I
agree
would-
to the agreement?
yes, yeah, that's the. I
It's in the
believe-
agreement, but
yes.
it doesn't specify to me what the triggering would be.
Yes, I don't think it does. I could ask what they've done in the past. I don't know if it's a case by case. Again, I'd have to work
I mean,
with
'cause we-
DOT on that. But I totally get your concern of, is it 2 accidents in 2 weeks, or is it?
So it's now I can turn left out of here and start heading east on Ridge Road?
Correct, yeah, right now it's
Whoa.
in, and then you can go out right or left, and then it's a,
Yeah, if somebody can just get the triggering language on that, I think it would be helpful for everybody here to know and have it part of a condition of the approval.
And where did the accidents, like if an accident happens, and is it just right in front of there, or is it in the intersection, or?
I believe the language refers to it as if it's caused in relation to this.
Yeah, no, it does, but it's not saying what does it.
I know it was further defined because it was very vague in the beginning by the DOT.
It's government, it's gotta be defined, or somebody's gonna sue
Well,
you.
what they say is that if there's any accidents, it could trigger this, is what it's saying.
Yeah, but is that
You're
one?
saying, but is that 1 or is it 10, is what?
Right.
And it looks like they're keeping it to left-hand turns out to East Ridge Road and then left-hand turns into East Ridge Road.
So it does define it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It can't be an accident because they took a right and somebody plowed into them.
Yeah, it says
It's-
problems with accidents or accident problems shall be defined as situations or incidents where the rate of accidents at the facility and/or county road rises to a level greater than the accident rate of a similar county road or similar section of East Ridge Road. Still a little vague, I guess.
Yeah, that's not a definition.
Doesn't answer the specific question you're asking. Is it one
No,
accident or
I-
is it numerous?
You know, I've sat behind plenty of people who are turning left into the Sunoco as I'm going north on Culver Road, trying to turn on Ridge. And they're stuck because all the traffic's heading south on Culver, and they can't turn into the Sunoco, so I'm not turning at the light either.
Is it a concern at all that, I mean, I suppose you've thought this through, but if a person, we've thought a lot about queuing on the back end, right? That there's adequate space and all of that, and enough times they get served their drink. That there's not a ton of queuing in it after the drink is served, right? So there looks like maybe 1 or 2 cars here, and this is a difficult situation that this driver is going to be confronted with. Basically anything they want to do is a little tricky. If they want to go this way, it's particularly tricky. If they can't leave as quick as the drinks are being served here, you could.
And you could have someone come
Yeah, but I guess when you look at it that way, the people who suffer is Starbucks. They're not doing as much business.
Well, except
Well,
that,
but except
The
for,
concern is going to
Yeah.
dictate if that.
but except for your
next drink is served.
15th, 16th, and 17th cars now that are coming in, and now they're queued up all the way to the road, like we have on
Yeah,
Portland.
they wait in the queue in the road.
Yeah.
Right, and we did bake in more queuing here. Their standard is 11, so that's why we do try to keep it off of Ridge.
but the queuing goes all the way to the delivery window. From the ordering box, it's 7 cars that are queued.
Yes.
Okay, so if I have very limited help, I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm gonna, meaning the-
Starbucks baristas?
Yeah. to take the order. I mean, I just seen other restaurants that have queuing on their own property that they end up, there's 3 people inside waiting on people walking in, taking app orders, and then also trying to service the window, and there'll be 10 cars backed up. It's all on their own
But this is a
property.
drive-through only.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
they-
how they're trying to combat it, is this is a drive-through only, so they're not,
Okay.
all the baristas.
I guess I'm just,
Let
I
me tell
just
you where
want the rest
thought
of
you were
folks.
going, Brad,
said-
was if the window was further back, at least if they were stuck in the queue, they could drink their coffee is where I thought you were going. So,
It's just like, even if you have, and I know that this is designed to relieve stress on the existing location, but I have arrived there and seen a whole situation with the, like there, and people are coming in and they're cutting in, and like it's a situation. And so, you know, if I apply what I see on a you know, maybe a moderately busy day at like 8 o'clock in the morning, they could certainly fill this queue. And it's fully staffed, everything is cooking, and these two cars can't get out. It backs up the whole situation.
And they're stuck in the queue.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess once again, like, personal experience, it's the only way you know how to relate to this, but, you know, if I'm going to Starbucks in the morning and I come up to a situation like that, cars are at the road, I just keep going. Because I'm like, I'm not going to wait in that line.
you ought to
I'll
go on
to the
Portland
next
Avenue.
Starbucks.
You should go on
Right.
Portland
Portland
Avenue.
Avenue at 8 o'clock. And honestly, this is the same exact conversation that the Dunkin' Donuts people
Right.
told us. They said, oh, our turnaround times are this, and that'll never happen because da 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 da. And then we were like, okay.
But
And
let's
it
be
does
honest, this has a lot more queuing.
Yes, I grant that. I grant
So,
that.
and matter of fact, I applaud you as to how much you got on here.
This is
I
like,
mean,
this is like version number 6.
yeah.
I'm going to
I
the
mean,
window,
there's
the
been a lot of
walk-up
time
window every time.
into this plan.
And the fact that you even got away, somebody could get out if they get to that point,
Right.
all right, is, because they can get out and go this way, right?
Yeah, they can come back out
Which
if
is
they, for
causing
some reason,
another,
get up there, yeah.
well, you can handle two, yeah, they can get in this area. right?
Yeah, you got
So-
30-foot width almost.
So, I mean, it's a lot of queuing compared to
I-
the other you can't really compare it totally to the other situation.
Yeah,
I
mean,
wanted to go back to the signage. Was I the only one that felt the way about the signage? Because I don't want to make them do extra work if, I didn't get everybody's answer on that. So I know where Alan stands. He feels like I'm approving a building without signs. In this case, I'm very skeptical of doing that with this.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it in the past. I just don't want
I
there
know
to
we've
be a
done it in
lot
the
of
past, but we've never done it on
conditions
a
on
tight
anything
condition
anymore.
like this that doesn't
Just makes
explain
it harder for the
how it
applicant.
looks like a walk-up window, but it really isn't. That's my point. So, I don't know, if you guys could speak up, how do you feel? Could we just go around?
Go ahead with your.
You know, kind of to get with like the confusion of, you know, drive-through versus pickup, would Starbucks be amenable to outdoor seating at all?
I mean, I don't even know where we would put it.
Parking lot?
Well, so Dan and I were kind of just doing a quick markup here, and, you know, part of it kind of factors in with LaBella's comment about the dumpster and, you know, how is somebody maneuvering and exiting. What if you were to shift the dumpster to the northern end of the drive-through, kind of almost directly behind where you have car number 8 in the queue right there?
Straight in.
And then where you're removing the dumpster, you'll pick up 2 parking spaces there. And then where you have the ADA stripage in the ADA space, you make that your outdoor seating area. And then one of the parking spaces, the parking space to the direct north, or at the farthest north on the west side, that's your ADA space. And then you use the space that you have where the 6 notation is, you make that your ADA ramp or your ADA access aisle. So you'll be you won't be losing spaces, you won't be gaining, but you'll be still covered by that variance that you have.
So, in a previous rendering, we actually did try a layout like that. And Starbucks shot it down, I believe, and I do think there were town comments maybe, I don't know. There were other comments, but basically with the dumpster there, you're basically sitting in your car next to an open, like the dumpster corral, but they don't want the gates, basically you're sitting by it in the drive-thru. So they're very, and we went through this at another property too, because they're very, what's the word? They don't want people noticing the dumpster. So like even with the dumpster there, you see like the actual nice part of it, but you don't see through the gates, you don't see the tops of the dumpsters. The gates usually go up pretty high, but they don't want people sitting in front of the dumpsters. I'm not 100% sure, because we've been talking about this for over a year now, why we moved it, but it was, we we did put it there at one time.
Well, if you pitch it in a way that addresses concerns of the board about possible confusion of, somebody coming here thinking they can just come pick up at the window and leave, or, if they wanted to hang out and sip on their coffee, the dumpster, you're gonna have solid gates there, so, visibility of it, won't be.
So John, before we go too far, Charlie, so if they change it to that type of a layout, that changes the application, right? Because right now it's just a drive-through. That would definitely make it a walk-up if you put outdoor seating.
It would more promote it.
I'm just asking, I like that.
It would be for signage, yes, and I don't think that they'll fit more than 20 seats on there. If there's over 20 seats per this district, it would have to have consent of the zoning board.
So you're saying they can do it even though it's just a drive-through right now? I'm just trying to understand. Because I thought you were saying if they change that, it changes the application.
I don't see an issue with it. If we're looking at what is in C business and what's allowed, it's something like food and beverage with less than 30 seats. And so that kind of is an umbrella that would cover drive-through. It'd also cover, you're not going to fit that many outdoor seats. You're not going to get more than 20, so it's not going to have to go to town board for anything.
Well, how about this? Do you have to have a dumpster? Can you do totes inside the building?
They have too much.
Okay.
What if you put the flowers on the dumpster?
Do you have
Would-
any room in the front?
Would adding seating change the variance in the parking calculation?
I would have to look, but I'm assuming that for setback, it's to build to line. I'd have to check.
But
They
I'm talking
needed
about
to
number
vary.
of spaces. How did
Number
they,
of-
how did they calculate number of spaces required? Because sometimes I know, right, in a restaurant,
Yes.
it's per seat.
Right.
So it's like square footage plus a number per seat.
1,000.
They had 0 seats. Now, if we add
Right.
20 seats, they might need now 5 more spaces.
Sure.
Maybe if they're not.
That would mess up the variance.
I guess I'd have to look as to what was used to start. What
So
calculation was used when they went to ZBA.
for the parking?
Yeah.
I don't have the code off the top of my head, but I believe that it was 13 spots because
Yeah,
it's
it
per
says-
100. Yeah.
Yeah.
So per
And
100.
provided 10,
But again, that was with no seating.
no indoor seating.
Right.
Correct.
If you had seating, there may have been another line that said X number per seat.
And it would have probably
But
be
but it's not on here because that number was 0.
correct.
So if we are telling you to add 20 seats, now that number comes on here, and now you need more parking.
Correct, yeah.
So now that 13 might go up to 18 spots that you need,
It very well
and you're only at 10,
And we
so
have to go back to the
that messes up the variance.
I don't think
I
I've
don't
ever.
know,
no,
the code
it-
doesn't read that way.
so
Dan.
I don't know
it's
how it
on
reads.
square
The
foot.
code reads square feet, triggers the amount of parking spots. So the building's
I
not
mean,
gonna
I've
change.
seen codes where it's
Right,
per
not-
seat.
Yeah,
but
it's
I don't
just not
think
It's
ours.
a combination,
ours.
and
Yeah.
I think it would be, it would then have to, we would then have to go back to the zoning.
if that's,
Because
right.
we would lose a couple spots, which
Right.
kind of, as we spoke before, we have 4 to 6 employees. We have 3 spots that were kind of
Yeah.
tight on that, so that would.
But
And
ours is,
it really would help you putting something there with the active transportation.
So by adding seating there, you would then be required to have probably bollards and fencing and, which is gonna,
You can see what Brugger's did. I mean, they are,
yeah, this is kind of
roosters,
hanging out
sorry.
in the middle of.
there's planters in front of them. I mean, I don't think we did bollards.
And you could always do something like decorative too, like you're showing this brick water table, you could do like brick columns with some 4-foot black wrought iron. I know it adds cost, but at least it could,
This was a tight deal to
yeah,
begin with.
it could at least, it could blend with the building and then also give that vehicle protection for people that are sitting there.
I mean, part of what we're supposed to be doing is looking at the plans that the town has developed and try to make sure that development is working in course with those. And we recently completed an active transportation plan, and part of many of the findings in there are to make these sort of developments more friendly to those types of access. So, I mean, we're not asking for you to add interior seating or anything like that. We're just trying to see if there's some opportunity for seasonal outdoor seating and a walk-up window.
I do think it's gonna add more to the confusion, though, if you see the outdoor
Right,
seating.
and then they are seasonal outdoor seats, so we're talking 6 months out of the year you have seats.
This year it'd be a lot longer.
Right.
So,
Right?
So, I mean, I would think, if we're going to add seating, it would have to be around the building. I mean, not out in the middle of the parking lot.
It's a good idea.
That's not really like the ideal place for it. It creates a lot of hurdles, but also, it's a little odd to go sit in a parking lot.
Can you talk to me about
true,
what's going on the roof? That it has to be covered?
So the HVAC units up there, that's just screening for that. And it's that same wood material. It's just different color.
Nothing structural, just
It's just because they did a flat roof concept.
Yeah.
That's where all the HVAC and stuff will go.
Yeah, there's just one rooftop unit there.
Yeah, there's nobody.
It'll cover all the
This
vents
looks
and drains and everything.
1,000 times better than what's there right now, so there's no doubt about that. I'll be honest with you, the biggest thing I got is how they're gonna know it's a drive-through. And I think signing plays a big part of that, so I'd really like to know.
Right.
So that's mine, and I think everything else everybody's bringing up. I do think adding outdoor seating adds to the confusion. I don't know how I feel about that, but I could live with it or not, but.
I don't think it adds to confusion, but I think Labella has some stuff we could probably go over.
Yeah, did you print a copy of that? I only got it from,
Oh, I
here.
So I got an extra one here for them.
okay,
Two of us right here.
when I first came in.
I think, no, yeah, I think so.
That's it? Thank you.
Sorry.
That's the
You know, there's the,
Because it
It's
says,
already a level
that's the
line.
window where you pick up, right?
yeah.
Right, right.
No, that's the walk-up window.
Hi,
Oh, so
would
there's
you
a
like
menu
to,
board there. So there's
guys, we'll just have Labella go through and then if you have any questions on it.
Kate Powers, Labella. So some of these items we've already sort of gone through, but I'll just quickly go through our comments. So for seeker, it doesn't fit under the type 1 list or the type 2 list, so it's unlisted. The board will have to make a determination on that, when this goes to final approval. Second, on-site circulation. So we do have just a couple clarifying questions for the applicant. So timing and frequency of deliveries, as well as how sanitation trucks are going to navigate the site, especially how, I can understand how they're going to enter, maybe more how they're going to exit the site. We've already talked about vehicle queuing. Also, and I included a note that there's no bypass lane, which is not a requirement. And just looking at Starbucks in the area, there are some that have it, but there are also, like the one on Blossom doesn't have one. The one that's across from the new Whole Foods doesn't have one. So it's more for convenience, and also, obviously, if it's something where you have a very long queuing line regularly, people might want to just ditch. But it's not a requirement.
There is a ditch on here, though.
Well,
When they get to
okay,
that
just
one
go
point,
ahead and go through there then.
You still gotta wait till you get to it, but they could turn out.
Cut in too.
I didn't think about the cut-in, yeah.
Next is traffic. We had Tom Miller, who is a transportation engineer, take a look at this. Passroe is very reputable. They used industry standards, and for the most part, we're in agreement with, the conclusions. We're in agreement that East Ridge, this is a better location rather than on Culver for the curb cut. Even though neither is really ideal, when you're looking at intersections, how to reduce conflict is one, the location of the curb cut. You're going to want it to be sort of further away, or limiting the access, so right in and right out. Also noted that Much of the anticipated traffic is expected to be passed by in nature, with the existence of the other Starbucks on Goodman. And then also a note on Monroe County DOT provided their feedback, and the applicant has entered into an agreement with them. We sort of have been talking about that, and the board has asked for additional information on that, specifically what triggers these mitigation measures. 4 is just clarification on a call out. Next is architecture, which a lot of this is void at this point, just because the applicant has come with updated renderings. But yeah, it's always good to check the actual elevations, because this is what's approved, it's never the rendering that's approved. But it looks like with the new renderings, a lot of the items have been addressed. So one was that brick or brick veneer, the mural that's there. One of the items that I don't know if it's something that the board wants to see or not, but they do sort of have, they don't have the ceiling to floor windows. However, when you have salt, when you have all of these things, sometimes you don't really want the floor to ceiling windows, and it makes sense to have them stop about, have that 20% or so to be a panel. And then they put the paneling back on the south elevation as well. Building mounted lighting, we already talked about, and the applicant had indicated that they'll likely have recessed lighting on the canopy. The lighting schedule title, that's just an error. From the lighting plan, I think we already mentioned, but a few of the pole lights don't have the adequate illumination contours, just had those. Landscaping plan, just a few errors that need to be resolved. We also asked about signage, and the applicant indicated that they will come with a separate package, but we're sort of in conversation about that, obviously, right now. And then the last is to ensure that there is a signature line for the planning board chair on all drawings.
I do have a question, either staff or you guys. There is a driveway on the westbound side. How, that services the property next door?
Point shop.
How close are these two driveways?
Currently, there isn't any separation. It's paved right up, and then you can kind of tell where the paving line is because there's brand new pavement on the, I think it's a jeweler.
It's a coin.
Coin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, currently there is no barrier, but we're proposing a guide rail, like a timber to separate the two.
So they'll be closed
Along
in
the
now.
curve.
They'll have
Yeah,
their
so
own
there's
drive.
curving.
Yeah, I get that. I just think of the conflict situation between the traffic.
It's gonna be two
I
driveways.
go to what was LA Fitness and now Sporta and now LA Fitness. There's two driveways right next to each other there, and I see conflict with cars turning.
Oh, in the
Because
turning lane.
Yes.
only one way in and out now for that place, and it's right next to each other.
Right, but
Yeah.
I mean, as of right now, we are utilizing like the curb cut that's existing. We're not touching anything on the Monroe County roadway, so that's kind of where we got our limits for
When-
our exit.
When the county issued their narrative and also came up with the agreement, was there any mention of that driveway?
I believe the only mention of that driveway would be the call out of that's where the intersection is. I don't know, I guess call out as
I don't
in-
know. I just think it's something for us to be aware of, that there's two driveways side by side, not even a foot separating them.
Well, I mean, I don't have a scale per se, but I mean, there's 10, 15 feet. When our vehicle gets out to the existing curb line, you're going to be 10, 15 feet off of that existing driveway
as well as we're kind of extended out, because I believe there's parking stalls along that,
Yep, I just,
road.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I think everybody should just be aware that that is a potential conflict right there.
Question about the striping in the sort of apron area here.
Pardon?
I was thinking that.
Yeah,
Ryan? So is there, do we need any markings there that would indicate, particularly for drivers who are exiting, if they're going to make a right or a left-hand turn, is this even wide enough to have, one in and maybe two? Do you see what I'm getting at?
absolutely. I don't believe, like, again, we're using the same curb cut, and
Yeah.
I don't believe that curb cut would have enough for three. I think there's kind of one out, one in.
One in.
Yeah.
My thought process on it, because it might alleviate some, because if all the people who are going to make rights get in the right, then they're going to zip out, and then these people who are trying to make this left, who are more likely to get stuck, would be together.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff together, but unfortunately, I think if we were to affect that left or right,
It'll change the curb cut.
it would change the curb cut, and then like we would, if we went to, I guess, west, we would approach on the existing. If we went right, I know the DOT is not gonna love that because that's closer to.
They're gonna be enclosed.
So, again, we're utilizing what's existing to not have to go back to DOT.
No,
You-
not at all, near Ridge Road.
I got a couple. So deliveries, do you know what size truck is coming in?
I believe they're doing a short, like.
Truck and trailer, or just a box
It's either
truck?
short truck and trailer, or it's a box van.
Because I know the Dunkin' Donuts down on Ridge, they have a full semi, and it parks in the road on Ridge
I see it all the time.
and does all their deliveries right in the road.
Yeah, no, this
Not-
this will
It's
not.
gonna be right
Not-
I
next
don't
to
think
each other.
that's,
Yeah.
I don't,
Alright.
illegal per se,
Okay.
there.
Another thing I've seen in the site plan, couple of spots, like your
Guys, we got two
drive-through
meetings
entry
going
sign.
But they were aware of that.
Guys, can we
Your
keep
drive-through
one
entry
meeting
sign
going,
looks like
so-
it's in the right of way.
That's actually, that was a comment from DOT that.
And I think there was a light pole right there too.
Yes, yep.
So a couple of those things you're gonna wanna
Yeah.
get out of the right of way.
Yeah, the DOT commented on those, and that's, we're gonna shift. Again, the signage plan is still kind of to be determined and designed, but the lighting will shift more towards the right side of that,
Okay.
parking lot crossing.
And one other thing, I guess, with the parking and the traffic counts, I didn't see in here, like, the existing store. Like, too much data in there, and like what they queued, what their queue length was. I don't know if that was available.
Was it
In their-
actually drive-through?
In their, the existing store, right, they talked about they did a parking study, or not a parking study, but like a traffic study, and the traffic coming through there.
I think something,
Uh,
I think one of the comments
so-
was the data, how long it's been closed.
No, not the existing
He's talking about
Starbucks.
the Goodman
Oh,
Street
okay,
store.
okay.
Oh,
I
sorry,
see. Sorry, I wasn't following
I was
that.
in
Yeah,
habits,
no,
I'm sorry.
no, that's long gone. Yeah, the existing Starbucks. So I guess one of my concerns is that Starbucks was just closed for remodeling. It's gonna close again in another 10 years for another remodel. Where do all those cars gonna go? They're all gonna go here. Now you're gonna have a really big peak. Cause I've seen that line with 14 cars in it.
Yeah, I have too. I've seen it wrapped around the building.
Yeah,
So in 10 years, maybe we'll have a third Starbucks.
all right.
Well, you
Good
do have
answer.
one in Target.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that'll be a drive-through.
And you could get it on the Target app.
Yeah,
That is-
can you? Is that how you do
To
it?
Dan's point, though, can we get those numbers?
It pops up.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what that,
Huh, that's the loophole I didn't know.
what that queuing length was at the existing store.
Yeah, I can ask for and see what they.
And obviously, that has a lot more private property than this.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Right.
queue 100 cars in that
As
parking
messy
lot.
as that
That's-
queue
And
is.
that's gonna,
And I
sure, it'll mess up the parking lot, but it's not gonna
Not
mess
in
up
the street.
cars going out into the right of way.
I think when we did the Chick-fil-A, they had to queue 30 cars on their property.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they were too wide.
Chick-fil-A is a little different when it comes to traffic. I mean, Greece, they had to shut down and like cops were directing traffic.
And you guys believe that this is going to pull a good amount, relieve what's going on there. And I think that's true. I also
Yeah,
learned in like,
I do too. I mean, I live right up the road from
Sure.
here, and my daughter, she goes to the one on Goodman.
right,
She'll be going here now.
this one. I mean, in the number of traffic studies and folks that we've talked to doing these things, one of the other things that I have learned from these folks is they're saying that people will only use, particularly when they talk about gas stations, if it's not on the side of the street that you're driving on, you will pass one that's over here and go further to go to one that is on the direction of your travel rather than having to cross. So there's probably new users also coming in here. It's not just, because if that is true, people who are traveling west on East Ridge are already passing Starbucks to go someplace else. So there is probably a number of new users who will also be using this in addition to folks that are breaking not the rules, but what the belief is about traffic patterns and crossing to go and left. So I think that that's worth consideration as well, that it's not just going to be relief, but also new users. But all of this should be contained in the traffic study, right? And we said the traffic study checks out?
Yeah, and the traffic study does, it's not just saying that there's 100 Starbucks users, we're taking 50 and putting them here. There is a number in there, I don't know it off the top of my head, but there is definitely a new user for exactly the reason you said, is that now this Starbucks is more convenient, so I'm gonna go here instead of Dunkin' or whatever's the next one in line.
On A3, the eastern elevation, there, here, well, you can have this one. There's called out on there a menu board. What the hell is that?
That menu board is for the walk-up window. So that is.
That they
your-
don't
that's your
care about
traffic,
having?
right.
Is it illuminated? What is this? Is it a paper sign?
Probably a TV screen, right?
Well, that's the thing, we need to get that info from them with the sign package, so I can talk to them tomorrow and see if maybe we can get a sign package. like
Yeah,
if
that
that's the
definitely
big
would
hang-up.
hold you up if it were me.
Right.
And you have this menu for the walk-up window for people that you don't want to walk up to the window.
Well, the walking up is fine.
I was trying to think how to say
Driving
that.
up, that's,
Well, they're
right.
never gonna see this, because they're probably 30 feet away from this menu, unless the font's like 100 points, right?
No, that's not for the traffic, that's for the walk-up. The menu board that's there is next to the walk-up window.
Yeah, so why do you need it if you don't want walk-up?
Well, if you have somebody that walks up, they need to be able to order, correct?
Even more reason for you to do the active transportation plan and put seats out there.
You kind of walked yourself into that one.
No. Who's to say they're not on their way? You're gonna grab your coffee and continue
And
your
if
walk.
we're gonna have this, then I probably want a bike rack on the property.
Don't people
Well, and even if it's not intended for consumers, you may have staff that comes to work on a bicycle. Yeah, so it should be.
Yeah, you
either
should
way.
have a bike rack on the property somewhere to at least encourage employees to.
Yeah, no, and I think bike rack, I'm pretty more confident to say that we could find a good spot for a bike rack.
Patio's a lot.
That's,
Yeah, harder, so,
Yeah, I think
But
that,
bike
though,
rack.
I mean, then it makes no sense for an outside menu board for somebody to order through the walk-up window.
I have a question. Would the board consider benches outdoor seating? Like, are you
Yeah.
guys thinking tables? Because,
Bistro,
'cause-
two-seat bistro.
Yeah.
oh, well, I'm thinking benches.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be open to something, creative, as long as it has some permanence to it. Like, sure, they come in and they say, and then they put them away, and that's that. So it would have to be something, reasonable.
yeah, no, that's a good point, is a bench instead of, so it's more of a quick,
Like
lack of a better term,
a
quick
metal
save.
bench, and you can lock a bike to it.
With a plaque
No.
dedicated
I'm
to Bradley
kidding.
Uber.
Yeah, we could try to find a spot for, a bench or two, we can see what we, again, kind of have to talk to Starbucks and make sure that that's
just read a bunch of articles about Starbucks bringing back the personal touch. So this is a little,
Bernie, the only thing I asked for from staff
I was gonna ask you what you guys, yeah.
is I'd like Monroe County to comment on the two driveways being right next door to each other.
Fire marshal might need that for apparatus access in here.
I think that's a source of conflict, and not that it's there, it's been there for a while. I don't know what the Coin building was used for at any point in the recent history but I see traffic going in and out.
You didn't see comments from Monroe County Planning and Development yet, did you?
Not planning development, I've not been sent anything there.
Yeah, I
Okay.
I do have from, I quickly got comments back from Monroe County DOT.
They'd have to go through
Yeah.
the drive.
From John.
I logged on today and it says that status reviewed, but I haven't seen
I
the actual comments come through yet from them.
There was no comments.
There's always comments.
Well, we did have our computer updated, so I'm a little skeptical about getting
Run
things.
to the window and grab it, not sit
kind of going
especially
to
when
that comment, is that something that
DoorDash a different
you
app.
want,
I think the county, if there's
DoorDash or
conflicts there,
Uber
the
Eats,
county needs to
whatever.
come up with a solution.
so.
I'm not
we
sure
have
that they knew that it was there. There's nothing in writing here that can prove to me that they knew or didn't know that the second driveway was right there. And I just think it's a source for conflict.
Yeah, I can contact, Monroe County, the reviewer that reviewed it. Again, I'm not the reviewer.
Well,
but I
because
would
he's looking at your application, he's not
No,
necessarily,
absolutely,
yeah.
but.
Should be looking at it. They should be looking at everything.
Pull up Google Maps,
Um,
put the,
But, I mean, I see it more of a conflict that you're gonna have is, the developer and the owner, when you're building this, and you cut off their access. Because you look at the Google image, and they use this parking lot to come around the backside of their building, and there's 2 or 3 cars parked behind there. So they use that for car parking. And if you, rightfully so, you're gonna make this and build to your property line, if that's too narrow for them to now get around their building, they're not gonna be happy.
I don't see it.
I agree, but
It just, again,
Well,
like
then we
like
could
Alan's saying,
eliminate that
it's
by
another,
eliminating their curb cut.
yeah. But then you're gonna eliminate their parking in the rear of their building.
I don't know, do they have access off the other
No.
No.
street?
I looked, they don't.
Yeah.
But they also have
I mean,
street
that
parking.
was,
They
they
do.
shouldn't be accessing from someone else's
Right.
property.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that
I
was,
think
yeah.
Yeah.
like I totally understand the concern and I.
But they also have a way to do on-street parking there because the curb is cut in off the street there.
Yeah, I do believe there is still clearance between our guide rail and their gas meters there. But if their gas meters were relocated, that gives them even more space.
Yeah, I want
yeah.
the county to come back and tell me if they perceive a conflict there or not.
I mean,
It's
it's
their
kind of
road.
going to your comment, I mean, we're gonna build to our property line and we're not building to
Yeah.
our property line.
Right.
We're giving a reasonable buffer. I've been out on site and I did notice that situation, how the truck was parked half and half. and
The white truck?
unfortunately- What?
The white truck?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's nothing that, we kinda can tell them, that's,
Do you think
I
the
mean-
white truck's owned or have they pawned that?
I believe it's owned. So I've had some conversations with them because they did remodeling and stuff. And
No, they did a
They're using
great
our
job with the
cycling
building.
center.
They really did do a nice job with that
What is
building.
this
That
little
was more
cutout
for
over
the
here
EMS access.
It's
on the lot?
where the bus thing
That's
is.
a bus,
Yeah.
oh, is it still there?
It's concrete pad. I don't think there's a thing anymore though.
it's a bus stop, right?
yeah, I
Maybe
don't,
they'll
yeah, I don't
close
think
it
there's
now?
any structure.
No, I think there's a, yeah, I
I
think there's
thought
a
there was
shelter.
Like a
cubby thing.
There's
Yeah.
there's a shelter.
Do you have any concern about folks cutting? So we had sort of a similar situation with the Chick-fil-A, and there was a bus stop, and we had them put some fencing because it would then direct people from the bus stop to not cut across.
Maybe not anymore.
Do you see what I'm saying?
No, maybe it's not there. This is
It looked
Yeah.
just,
maps as of
It's gone.
August 2024 and it's
Okay.
not there. I can stand corrected.
So I don't think we
Just
were
a
looking to close it off
They took it
Kind
down?
of make it seem.
Yeah, I mean, either give them a dedicated path, which I don't think you want to do because they would be sending them across the drive-through and all the situation, or guiding them to enter at the way that you want them to enter. So, you know, with the Chick-fil-A, there was a drive-through and like they didn't want to have folks coming from the bus stop and then taking a desire path across the lanes of the drive-through to like then use the restaurant. So what they then did is they put some fencing there. I think it's been highly effective, and then the folks that want to use Chick-fil-A and they're coming in the bus stop, they then, you know, come around on the sidewalk rather than using a footpath that may be dangerous.
And, yeah, no, that makes total sense, and that's something that I would say we'd probably monitor.
Sure.
Because, again, I would agree that if people are constantly walking across here, you're gonna have a nice little.
You're gonna have a
that's
path.
just right
Yeah,
through
they're gonna
nice
see that
grass.
menu next to that window that doesn't exist.
And they're like, I'll just pop over there, which is cool, right?
Correct,
Because we
yeah.
got a walk-up window, maybe some outdoor seating. That's
Right. But
great.
we have to redo
We
the
just want to
sidewalks
make
and
sure that they
love
come
them
in
to
a
use
safe
that.
manner. Yeah.
But yeah, that's something we would absolutely monitor and just make sure that, like, if we are seeing that kind of constant traffic coming from the bus right across, then maybe.
Or even from the neighborhood. I mean, anybody that was walking, anyone who's coming down the sidewalk may be like, oh, I'm just gonna.
Shortest distance,
Right,
easy.
for
Yeah,
sure.
they're
I
just
mean, I
gonna-
would do
they're
that. To be honest with you.
I mean, that's probably as simple as if we do have an issue, we pull a sign or a fence permit.
Sure.
Put up
So you said there's another similar, but not a Starbucks in Greece?
a Dunkin' Donuts, yes.
Right, have you talked to them to ask them?
I have, but not 100% about like their model and how they're doing and all that.
No, I meant as far as, did they have any issues? I wonder, John, if you know if there's any issues with that site?
Not that I'm aware of, like, it opened fairly recently, like within the last 6 months, but that site had 2 access points, which helped with that.
I believe it's a year now that they're open. They opened last November.
And the way the road's kind of configured, it kind of makes everybody come in, you know, right in, right out, because Westridge Road, where you're exiting, you got the turn lanes to go southbound on Elm Grove Road. And then for the secondary access off Elm Grove Road, you're just pulling in to the right, or you're exiting to the right. You got the intersection right there.
I mean, it's Dunkin', but I've never seen it like mobbed.
Okay.
Dunkin',
Comparing apples and oranges, you know. I like Dunkin', but you know,
Does Starbucks,
Starbucks has.
This is recorded, you know, I want you to know that, so.
does Starbucks use Uber Eats or DoorDash? Like,
Where?
because like I've seen it where you can order and have it delivered. Like,
Well,
it's,
I mean, I
So
don't
you're
know
thinking it's
Uber
gonna
Eats
drive
and
more to the
everything,
window?
that's what I'm just curious if that is an option too. That
Wouldn't that just be another car that pulls in to pick up your
generally
order?
it doesn't go through a drive-through. It would go to possibly the window and it would just be ready.
Yeah, maybe it would send them to the other location
Okay,
then.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
not a
I've never used-
Starbucks person, so I
I'm not an Uber Eats.
Might even through the app still say you have to go.
He's a
through-
Dunkin'
Right.
guy, he already told us, so.
What's on DoorDash?
Is it?
Welcome to Starbucks. Delivery or pickup?
Not here.
Well,
my
either
guess
way,
is they will.
delivery or pickup wouldn't really work
It
here.
wouldn't let me, because pickup is off. It won't let me pick up. It'll only let me get delivery.
Oh.
So
you
somebody,
mean
somebody, like a
It doesn't-
Uber driver has to come and pick it up from somewhere, and there's nowhere here for them
Right.
So
to
they'll
pick
do
it
the
up.
drive-through. They go
Yeah.
through the drive-through.
Probably still through
Like-
the app, it would make you go through the drive-through.
Right, and they're all, they come in, my kids do it all the time.
Right, Michelle?
But like McDonald's or Wendy's or even Taco Bell, it's got like sealed,
Yeah, it's all set up for that.
it's all
yeah.
sealed where they just go through the drive-through and say.
I mean, I see a lot of them too, though, inside the store, they have the pickup.
If it's
I know
offered.
Chipotle has it in the store. I think McDonald's has
Is
it
that
in the store.
important enough for us to know that?
I think that the
I mean,
app
that's
will
a
limit it.
operation and maintenance.
Yeah,
Is that gonna be bringing in more traffic?
I don't think.
Something to consider, but.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's gonna,
If those times were, if that were to happen, I feel like it would be kind of the off hours of a Starbucks between probably 9 and 2 or 3 o'clock. Because on your way to work, I don't know if you're gonna Uber Eats a coffee to meet you at work. Again, there probably is somebody out there that would do that, but
But generally
It's a good
speaking.
generally speaking, I think that would happen at lunchtime when, man, I got a submission I gotta do.
well, is this a full menu or just coffee?
I mean, when you say full menu, their food
It'll
is
be on the side. I
microwavable.
know it'll be on the
Yeah.
side eventually, and I can find out, but
It's
Yeah,
as big as, probably
are
gonna be
they
the,
gonna have sandwiches and?
probably, but that's the
Danish?
stuff they just throw in a
That's
microwave or
Well,
the
that's the
convection
stuff
oven.
though that folks will order from Uber Eats or DoorDash.
They order coffee too, Al.
but they'll still have to go through the drive-through. I'm,
Is that the model you guys are using? Not you guys, but Starbucks?
I think we're digging very deep with the apps and the Uber Eats and the, so we're trying
Yeah,
to
but it's
figure out
just
their
gonna-
I think they would
operations.
still be forced, whether it's me going to pick up the order or an Uber Eats driver, they're still gonna be forced to use that queuing lane throughout, so I don't know.
I don't know that it's important for the approval, but if somebody thinks that traffic being in there is gonna be important, they may wanna find that out.
And I'm
Doesn't
thinking
matter to me.
it might be limited because, I mean, you're ordering through Uber Eats, you're not ordering at this location Starbucks. So through Uber Eats, they're going to probably pick the other full-service Starbucks. My theory, I don't know 100%, but that's
Yeah,
what we can make.
I can guess lots of things,
Yeah.
but it's not important to me to know if they're doing it for approval.
I don't think so either, but.
So any other comments, concerns? Because Michelle, I think you got a list probably to go through.
I
before-
do.
Yeah.
You wanna hear?
Are we okay? Are we ready, or is there anything else? Anyway, okay. So she'll give you a list, and then you probably send them a mail note after too.
Right. Do you want me to read them off quick?
Yes, please.
So I have, that it's been noted that the variances were received in February of 2024. Staff to scan and email revised rendering received at the workshop. Address how this project fits into the active transportation plan. The planning board suggested adding some outdoor seating with benches or such. Add a bike rack for pedestrian traffic. Submit support or documentation from Starbucks that shows support this location will work.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you were touching on, Bernie, and I couldn't really
Well, the one on Portland Avenue.
determine
They actually
how to
came-
word it.
They came and spoke to us, and basically we were able to ask them, this is a tight spot, do you feel this is workable? And it actually made a difference to a lot of the members on the board to hear it from
They said
Dunkin'
that it would
Donuts.
never queue the way that it queues now.
Right. I'm just saying what they said at the time.
I know.
Because I think there, you gotta have a 25-year lease, if I remember. So we're like, did you feel this is gonna be successful, or does it have problems? Because there was a lot of these questions regarding queuing. So I think something, because you mentioned it, you testified that Starbucks supports this plan. Right, so just looking for something that shows that.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't support something they don't think is questionable.
Yeah, I've never seen a Starbucks close.
Well, the one right across the street
Downtown.
did. No, the one right across the street closed
Which one?
on Culver Ridge.
Oh, yeah, well, it moved.
It moved.
Yeah, they moved.
Was that it, Michelle?
Nope, I have submission of more information, oh, wait a minute, depict signage on the site plan indicating how the site will accommodate the drive-through only. Submission of more information regarding the agreement with Monroe County DOT and Starbucks. Roof lighting needs to be depicted on the lighting plan. Trees listed but not showing on the landscape plan, update plan set. Have the mural be more Arundequite oriented. Concerns about maintenance and durability of building materials.
You can strike that one, I think they satisfied.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you.
Can we go back to the roof lighting one? That's actually canopy lighting.
Yeah,
Canopy.
Can you pull it out and put it on paper for us to take a look at? I bet.
I could show you like, you
This is
want like
just
a cut
added
sheet?
to the conditions though, I mean,
Okay, I mean,
It's
are
gonna-
you looking for like a cut sheet on it, or?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, we could put that in the signage
Yeah.
package, that's not a problem.
great.
Canopy lighting needs to be depicted on the lighting plan?
Pardon?
canopy lighting needs to be depicted on the lighting plan.
Yes, and they've got some illumination issues with the plan also.
Photometrics.
So how do you want me to,
They didn't show all
Word
the
that.
photometrics.
They haven't shown all the photometrics.
Yeah, that's on Labella's, so.
all right, so, perfect, because I'll get to that.
Okay.
The board had concerns regarding the queuing of cars? No?
Why are you looking at me? I feel like we have concern, generally
I
speaking.
think that there's some general concern that this is probably not gonna work, but if we let them go, we'll have.
Review Labella's comments and respond. Inquire with Monroe County DOT about the two driveways on Eastridge Road so close to each other. That's where I'm at. Am I missing anything, board?
That sounds like a lot.
You got it.
So next week, you're gonna be looking for
Not next
preliminary?
week.
Or at the next meeting, you're looking for
25th.
preliminary, is that the route?
I will say it this way, we're
all
still
coming
gonna
throughout
come
Thanksgiving.
and hope for
Oh, I gotta-
preliminary and final. I'm not gonna just rule out final, but
In order to give,
Time? No.
the thing that's
Did you
tricky
say
about
file?
preliminary is that it will have to be,
22.
they basically give you the whole approval, save for these concerns of the board. So that's why they generally don't like to do that, because it boxes us in on final. So we'd have to be really close to what we want to approve in order to give the preliminary, because when you come back for final, we'll only be able to look at the delineated items that we've listed. So that's generally why the board's given preliminary and final at the same time, because it gives us the most latitude. So we would have to be really close.
I'm telling you, if you don't have a signage package, I know where I'm leaning, but I'm only one vote. So,
Michelle, this is separate from the signage package, so I would like to know what that menu board is and if it's illuminated or what the heck it is.
It's gotta be, right?
they say
The
it's part,
exterior.
I don't know how
they say
they're
it's
treating
part of
it.
the signage.
It should be on the signage package, but
Yeah.
that would be submitted with the signage.
Yeah, the
Perfect.
exterior menu board is too.
Yeah, I mean, but we're not looking at the back menu board, that's gonna be your,
That'll be in the signage package.
okay,
Yeah, it'll be complete.
all right.
And the prices.
No prices on the board.
anything else?
Does he say it's not next week, it's the week after?
It is next week.
I thought it was next week.
Oof.
It's the 25th.
I thought so. It's a short week.
That's next week.
Can't believe it's the end of the year.
No,
You were just saying
the
that
week
you
of the
felt like
25th
you
is
hadn't
a
seen
short
us often enough. So.
I know. My favorite board.
Yeah.
That's what she says, the zoning board
We're also
too.
on tape, I want you to know.
That's all right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
For your time. Thank you.
What you do without me?
I give you a lot of credit for what you came up with in this small space.
I mean, it's, what else
I'm all
is
set.
there, you know?
I think we can adjourn. Thank you.
Very limited.
Amazing what you came up with.